What's going on, everyone? I am just a typical, average American here today to react to some new information that's come out specifically about the aluminum tariffs that the United States placed on Canada. And apparently, now that some time has passed and the data has come in, we can objectively look back at what this tariff has accomplished. And it turns out that this policy decision is now being called the dumbest tariff in history. Wow. Round of applause. We really did it. We really did it. Wow. The dumbest in history. I know a lot of people were saying, when all this tariff stuff even started, that this was a bad idea, that this was dumb. And now, it's official. We've outdone ourselves. It is, in fact, the dumbest tariff in history. And specifically, we're talking about this aluminum tariff that the U.S. Said that it was going to be good for us, actually. It was all going to be great. It's going to bring all the manufacturing and the stuff to the U.S. and boost our economy and make new jobs. And, well, all of that has completely not come to fruition. As a matter of fact, this has totally backfired on the United States. And so today, I want to take some time to look at this new info and learn about how bad this actually is. So let's take a look here. It says the world's dumbest tariff has been revealed. And this actually from an article by Bloomberg, who did an in-depth analysis of all this stuff. So I'm thankful for that, but at the same time, it's pretty depressing if you're an American. Like, every American citizen should be outraged right now. Like, yeah, this should be like top of our news and everyone should be mad, and that's not happening nearly enough, in my opinion. But yeah, it says the Canada advantage. So a clean, integrated supply line. And what we're talking about is the United States has a massive advantage being able to get our aluminum supply from Canada. And also, I guess it's an advantage for Canada if you're, creating that and fulfilling that demand and probably making a lot of money doing it. It says Canada provides the U.S. with high purity, low carbon aluminum powered by hydroelectric resources, so it's very cleanly made. That's good for you guys, being all environmentally conscious and all that. We're not that concerned with that stuff here in the U.S. That's probably a flaw of ours. Over 90% of Canadian production is hydropowered. Good for you. Highly integrated North American automotive supply chain, so this has a lot to do with automotive manufacturing. I mean, think about for a second how many things use aluminum. Like, endless things. So many things. So many supply lines are related to this, and jobs and companies. And Canada is a strategic security partner under the USMCA agreements, or I think that's also called the CUSMA. That's like the US, Canada, Mexico trade agreements. Yeah, this is like a big part of that. This is a big deal, this aluminum trade that we have with Canada. And it says the chronology of this. So what exactly happened in the last year or so with the aluminum tariffs? Because it's hard to keep track of all the tariffs. And sometimes Donald Trump changes the tariff percentages or who we're doing it against or what the product is that we're targeting. And it can change on a whim, seemingly. So in general, 2025, Trump administration imposed a 10% tariff on Canadian primary aluminum. I know there have been times when we've done a blanket like 20%, 50% on all Canadian goods, then that was struck down. And then, if you heard the news like the last month or so, the US Supreme Court ruled that all of the tariffs that we have been doing are illegal. They are not allowed. They're against the law. They were never allowed. It's all fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's nothing. It should never have happened. Another crime against humanity, and certainly the American people and the Canadian people, because you guys were the target of a lot of the tariffs, and now everybody has to like get a refund. Trump was bragging about how much revenue the tariffs were raising, while American products or stuff here were raising in price, while inflation is getting out of control, while we're losing jobs. He was bragging that, well, we're raising a ton of money by taxing our own companies through tariffs and discouraging imports. And we're raising a ton of money, though. I might even give it back to you guys. That's what he said to us. And that's even all that. The one thing that might have been going okay about it isn't even true. It's not true. So, yeah, you'll have to excuse me if this gets me a little worked up. It's just preposterous, really. So, all the revenue that the U.S. government raised with tariffs, that's going away. So, it says in Q1 of 2026, Canada retaliated by signing a long-term export deal with Europe. So, in simple terms, the U.S. tariffed Canadian aluminum. Interesting choice, because we really need that, but we tariffed it. Canada responded by saying, okay, we shall sell our aluminum somewhere else, like Europe. Someone who actually values what we have and is reliable, okay? Q2 2026, the U.S. imports from Gulf partners collapse, domestic supply hits critical lows. That's what we're getting into now, today. That's the big news that's come in. Because Canada is selling its aluminum to Europe now, thanks to what we did to ourselves. We have to rely on importing aluminum from other places around the world, which is not working out. The goal for the U.S. Was to have 90% smelter output, like our aluminum smelting, our manufacturing, or all that stuff. We want it to be 90%. It's at 45%. We're not getting the aluminum that we need. The price of it is sky high. Up 22%, it looks like. Instead of stimulating the new U.S. smelting industry, the tariffs simply raised the floor price for domestic manufacture. It raised the cost of smelting and processing aluminum in the United States. That's what it did when you literally tax the import of it from Canada. While aging U.S. smelters are struggling with energy costs, so a lot of U.S. Aluminum processing or companies that depend upon this that are not doing good. They're struggling. They might go out of business. It'll cost us jobs. It's raising the price. And if these U.S. companies have to pay extra for imported aluminum, they're not just going to do that for nothing. They're going to raise the price of aluminum goods in the U.S. They are going to pass on the cost to us, to me. And that is what has happened. The pivot, Canada. It's the more I say this out loud sometimes, it's just like, what an epic failure. Like, what a monumental backfire, a self-own, whatever you want to call it. Like, what the United States tried to do, or Donald Trump, really, spearheading this, trying to make America great again. And it has totally and utterly backfired, and we're probably heading into a recession now. So, the pivot, Canada has moved to Europe. Yeah, a lot of Americans don't realize the implications of all this stuff. We are losing our trade partners. Canada. And you can't even be mad at Canada. You can't be mad. As an American, you can't be mad at Canada for doing this. We did this to Canada. We said, F you. We don't want your aluminum. We're tariffing your aluminum. Get out of here. That's what we did. And Canada said, okay, we're going somewhere else. Crazy. And yeah, so faced with persistent U.S. tariff uncertainty, Canadian process producers signed a massive supply contract with European manufacturers. 5 to 10 year lock-in, like huge aluminum trade deals go into Europe. So now the United States, it doesn't even look like we have Canada as an option anymore. So the US is shifting our reliance to the Gulf, filling this void because of our self-imposed idiocy? Idiocy? What's the word? We are idiots. To replace Canadian supply, the United States has turned to importing from the Middle East. Interesting. And now we're at war with the Middle East, Iran. So from shifting our dependence of aluminum from Canada, very reliable, democratic, great country, instead of getting our aluminum from you, we'd rather get it from these autocratic regimes with higher carbon footprints, don't care about the environment, geopolitical volatility. We're literally at war with some of these countries. That's who? We would rather do business with them? Can somebody make this make any sense? Does this make any sense to anyone? The boomerang, when geopolitical supply lines snap and there's no backup. Right. So this quote, I saw this quote online. This is the quote that got me aware of this aluminum situation and so passionate about it. Because very succinctly, this sums it up right here. The tariffs have pushed Canada away, a massive aluminum producer, a close ally, and a member of the U.S. defense industrial base. It has pushed Canada to sell less to the United States and more to others like Europe, which has made America more reliant on Middle East aluminum producers, which are now hit by the Iran war, driving up aluminum prices. And seeing that was, when I read this, it was infuriating. Because that's, simply put, we tariffed aluminum from Canada. So we don't get it from Canada, really, anymore. Not at a good price, anyway. So Canada made trade deals with Europe. And all the aluminum is going to Europe. And there's not so much to even sell to the US anymore. So we pushed away Canada and basically took away any opportunity to go back and beg for aluminum from Canada. It's gone. It's going to Europe. There's none left. So now we're stuck and we have to go to the Middle East. These countries who would sell us aluminum, but now there's war in the Middle East that we caused, and the prices are going up in the Middle East, and imports from the Middle East are at highs. So now we effectively, I mean, what's the shortest way of putting this? We are the worst deal makers in history. We said no thanks to a Canadian aluminum deal, and now we have a terrible aluminum deal with the Middle East. So we literally costed ourselves billions of dollars for no reason, because we felt like it, because we're dumb. Economic damage to the United States. Here we go. Automotive, Ford and GM reporting $1.5 billion in tariff headwinds. Aerospace, airplanes, supply shortages are delaying Boeing production. I mean, so many things need aluminum. This is only some examples. Consumer goods, canned beverages. Costs are rising by 12% across North America. Canned beverages. Soda, my soda. My Coke Zero is it's up 12%. And I've noticed, by the way, it's up. You know, they know that I'm not going to stop buying my Coke Zero. They know that they've got me in a chokehold. They know I'm not going to give this up. So I just have to pay higher prices because of the aluminum drinks. And so it's affecting me in a very real way. U.S. manufacturers are now paying a shortage premium twice as high as the original tariff. We're now paying twice as much for aluminum than when we started, even after the tariff. Insane. Takeaways, it's a total strategic failure, goes without saying. This should be talked about more. It has alienated Canada. It's led to the loss of priority access to Canadian aluminum. It's so bad. Global supply chains are moving faster and away from the US. National security is weakened in the US when supply chains are kind of volatile or unpredictable. US manufacturers and consumers are now in a much worse position. Yeah, US manufacturers that rely on aluminum are getting screwed. Consumers, like me, are getting screwed. Everything's going up in price. It's a disaster. And yeah, not fun to read, not fun to learn about. And I have to say again, I really think a lot of Americans really aren't paying enough attention to all this. I know it's like a little in the weeds, maybe, or detailed or confusing at times, but it's so important. I'm sure Canadians are like, Canadians, you're probably scratching your head and also probably like having a laugh at us, which is deserved for probably what we tried to do to you. And now Canada is definitely getting the last laugh because we have totally screwed ourselves. So, I don't know. I don't know if there's any silver lining to this. It's just like America needs to get a grip. We need to change. We need to understand what's going wrong and change it. And yeah, I don't know if that means like if it's going to have to wait till Donald Trump is out of office for any attempt to fix any of this. That's pretty depressing to think about. 3 more years of this. It's crazy. But it's good to be aware of all the madness. You got to be aware at the very least. So, anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on the dumbest aluminum tariff. No, the dumbest tariff in history. We've doubled our own prices by trying to tariff Canada. Wow. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canadian things that I've never seen before or learned about, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.